Have you ever seen someone and felt an immediate attraction like, dang, they fine? Like it was just something about their style, their swag, their aura. It's like, I gotta take a second look. If you're one of the brave souls who refuse to let that look be your last, have you ever acted on that emotion and reached out to them to get the digits and y'all went on a date or something and that first date was your last date because you realized the attraction is all there was? Like, the date sucked. You know, the great poet Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And as fine as that person was, mid-conversation when you realize this ain't it, that's the feeling you're going to remember. And you know what? Maya was onto something, not just about people, but this also relates to brand identity and how our brands show up for our clients. So tap in, because we're about to have a little conversation. Let's go. Welcome to Brandversations, where we break the fourth wall between brands and audiences. I'm M.Michelle, your host and storyteller. Today, we're discussing the hidden power of brand identity. Because the way you show up can leave a lasting impression, creating an impact that lingers far beyond the words or visuals you share. Let's get into it. Weddings. They are filled with love, laughter, and overall, just a whirlwind of emotions. And as a wedding filmmaker, I tend to get caught up in all the emotional whirlwinds. But one wedding in particular took me through every emotion possible. The day has turned into night, the people are getting restless, and the speeches have just wrapped up. The house lights dim, and the DJ's lights start inviting guests to the dance floor. At this point, I've been filming close to 8 hours, and as an introvert, I just need a moment to decompress. I found a little nook behind the DJ booth, but that's when I saw her. An older woman, sitting at a nearby table. She smiled, patting the chair next to her. I really just wanted this moment to myself, but I obliged. So I made my way to her, and as I got closer, she reached her hand out. I placed my hand in hers, and she gripped mine so tightly. "What's your name?" she asked. "Michelle." My daughter's name was Michelle. Her eyes began to fill with tears. I took a deep breath. I settled in, and I slid my chair closer to hers. She spent the next 5 or so minutes telling me about her beautiful daughter who had died from cancer. From the way she recounted the events, I just knew it was something recent from like a week or maybe a month ago. But to my surprise, it had been 20 years. She had been trying throughout the day to enjoy it. And there would be moments where glimpses of joy would just fill her eyes and her body. But they were fleeting. They were quickly overshadowed by the waves of grief that would crash into her without warning. But as she journeyed through those emotions of her daughter laying in a hospital bed taking her last breath, I could feel the weight of grief starting to lift. By me simply holding space for her pain, I was able to watch as her shoulders eased, her face softened, and her grip on my hand loosened. And when she was finished, she smiled and gave my hand a gentle double pat, my cue to get back to work. We shared smiles, and she went out for a cigarette break. You may be saying to yourself, nice story, but what does this have to do with brand identity? And I'm glad you asked, because it has everything to do with branding. Maya Angelou's words come back to mind. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And y'all, that's the hidden power of brand identity. This is not about what you say. It's about the emotional experience you create. Think about your favorite brands. What comes to mind first? Is it their logo? Their tagline? That could be. But more than likely, what you really remember is how that brand makes you feel, the trust they've built with their actions. So here are 3 ways to unlock the hidden power of your brand identity. First, we have to understand that consistency builds trust. Just like the grandmother trusted me in that moment, your audience trusts you when you consistently align your actions with your promises. Next, we have to realize that values speak louder than words. Your brand isn't just what you claim to stand for, it's what you show through your behavior. For me, listening to the grandmother wasn't necessarily part of my job, but it is a reflection of the values I carry in everything I do. Creating a safe space for people is important for me, and it's the best way to get people to open up to create authentic connections. Lastly, we have to understand that emotional connection creates loyalty. Again, people are going to remember how you make them feel, not just what you sell them. Don't believe me? Go to Google and research your favorite brand, restaurant, store, whatever it is you love, and look at the reviews. 99.999% of those reviews are emotional based. They are telling those brands the emotional value they added to them, for better or worse. As for the grandmother at the wedding, she's probably not going to remember me, the wedding filmmaker. But what she will remember are the moments she was able to create with her granddaughter and grandson, the moment she released grief. Something inside of her shifted. I saw her make her way to the dance floor with a drink in one hand and taking her granddaughter's hand in the other, and they danced the night away. She was radiant, fully present, and I'm proud that I created a safe space for her to release that grief. And for those who may be worried, no, I didn't miss a beat with capturing the moments of the wedding. So, here's my question. What does your brand identity say about you? Are your actions consistent with the story you want to tell? Do your values shine through in everything you do? That's really something to think about. Actually, if you have a team, ask your team members. Ask some of your most loyal customers, what does your brand identity say about you? Get their feedback and see if it aligns with what you believe your brand says about you. So let's circle back to what brand identity is, because when people hear this word, a lot of time they associate it with the logo. And yes, the logo is the face of your brand, and it may be enough to trigger that first look, but brand identity encompasses so much more. It's the emotional connection you create, the trust you build, and your ability to show up consistently. So y'all, show up consistently. I know you can. Thank you so much for tapping into this episode of Brandversations, and I hope you have a better understanding of how your brand impacts your audience. Take care, and remember, every day is a great day to be you authentically. Peace.